Sessions, where we feature the best DJs, producers, and industry professionals from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we're testing out some new stuff here on the DJ Sessions. First and foremost, having the guys come in from the Lifestyle After 5 podcast series. We have Lord Shu, Ali, and Murshad coming in. How you doing today, guys?
What's going on, man? Good.
All right, audio test is going good. New glitches happen in the studio all the time. Lost a little bit of the transmission there, but it looks like we are on Meta. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on the DJSessions.com. And we're going out today. We're going to talk with these guys. Haven't caught up with them for a hot minute. Good to be talking with you guys. The last time we talked was probably a couple years ago. Heard your show has gone through a little bit of a transformation. Who wants to take the note on that top right-hand corner here? Go ahead and you take it. Tell what's been going on with Lifestyle After 5 so far.
So first and foremost, I appreciate everybody who's watching right now. Shout out to DJ Sessions for showing love. So first thing first, we are now a totally new rebranded channel called Lifestyle After 5. Originally, we were called After 5 the podcast. We made the change probably about 2 years ago. And basically what we are, we still are like a basically like a in your pocket happy hour. This is the best way to describe it. And basically you can catch us live in the streets. We still do events, but most of our content now is focused around futurism, and we still lifestyle forward, but we're focusing now on the future and getting more people up to speed with what's going on. So that's the main thing that's been happening with us lately. We also have been making these new T-shirts, these new Lifestyle After 5 T-shirts. If y'all rocking with these,
swag is always good.
Right. So, getting more into our fashion game with, being a lifestyle podcast, it's only right. So that's pretty much where we've been at within the past couple of years.
I was talking with y'all a little bit before the show began, and how I took a futurism class in 9th grade, and I'll date myself here. I'm not ashamed of it. In 1989. 9th grade in 1989. Yeah, do the math. I turned 50 last year.
Congratulations.
But no, I mean,
Facts.
It always was an awesome class. It was a first of its kind class that was introduced. The teacher was a really great teacher. I think I had him for debate class too, maybe. But, we talked about stuff like, it was basic stuff, but like, I remember watching the movie The Time Machine. I think the Orson Welles Time Machine for the first time, the old school one, back then. And, one of the questions back in the time, then was the teacher had asked us, or at the end of the movie, there's a scene where all his friends are there and he's like, oh, he disappeared. Where'd he go to? Well, he went back to the future to meet the girl. And they looked around and said, what's missing? And they noticed there were 3 volumes from his library that were missing, but they didn't know which ones. And our futurism teacher asked us if you could go into the future, or wait, was it in the future or in the past? I can't remember which way it was, but if you go one direction or either, what 3 books would you take with you?
Ooh.
That's so that's like a question, like which 3 would be the most important that would be game changing that you take? I can't remember what I answered, man. I was some years ago. But, if you could give advice, I mean, I know this is on the spot, but Lord Shu, what would be the first book you would take? And then we'll bounce and go back to Ali for the next book.
First book. This is kind of a no-brainer, but I wrote a book. This is a shameless plug, but I wrote a book called Keys to the Island. The beginning of this year, I finished it and put it out. But that would be the book because pretty much every like hardship or any type of like trial, tribulation I ever went through in my life, I put in that book, and also put how to basically overcome, but also just set yourself up to be like in the future, like see yourself in the future and kind of just align with that future version of yourself. So definitely that book.
All right, Ali, what book would you take?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and shamelessly plug myself too. I also wrote a book on Amazon called Lay Off the Lift Off. And
Okay.
there's several books, but you asked for one. I think it's a quote I would take with me that would summarize all the books, that would dictate all the books that I would read in the future. And that is, when you really break things down to get to the grand scheme of everything in life, whether you want to be a doctor, engineer, an astronaut, the only thing that makes you that is practice in the books you read and the company you keep. That's it. A doctor practice. They read medical books and they practice. And that's it. An engineer read engineering books and they practice. And I would focus in on what I want to achieve, and I would do that early. I mean, if I did this, you look at a Jeff Bezos or the Facebook Mark Zuckerberg, they were fixated on tech at early ages, 10, 11, 12, the billionaires now, and they are experts at what they do. So I would have definitely probably around 10, try to be an expert at whatever I focus and put my mind onto, and it definitely would have changed my future now. But it's still never too late to pick up and go. So this is what we talk about on our podcast. When you tune in, we started doing Python coding classes, courses where we would meet up and discuss in our Discord Python. So it's never too late to focus on something and become an expert.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I grew up, I guess you could say tech savvy. My father always lavished the toys of the household upon me to play with. Darren, hook up the VCR. Darren, connect the stereo. Darren, how do you do this? Darren, read. I go, Dad, can't you read the manual? He's like, no, I had kids, so I didn't have to learn this stuff. But I kind of got really technical and got into video production in high school at a young age and played with video cameras, at the age of 6 years old. This is 1979, 1980. I was making filmed and making videos because you could film it and it was right there on a VHS tape. So I've always had technology surrounding me in some way, shape, or form. And you hear a lot of people that want to get into podcasting or get into this realm, and they can get overwhelmed now with the amount of information that's out there. I've been on a number of interviews, and people say, how do you get started in podcasting? I'm like, well, do you have a phone? Okay, start right there. You don't need to invest thousands and thousands of dollars and have everything set up. But, really just, going back and doing the basics. I mean, I always quote people on these books, or not quote, but always recommend these books. It's the dummy series. There's a dummy series for pretty much every single thing that's out there. Get the podcasting book for dummies for $34.95. Read one chapter, go through it. Read the next chapter, go through it. And, you'll be just that much more ahead of the game than somebody just holding their phone going, look at me, I got a show,
But then as a futurist, I got to say that is so early 2000s. Now you have Chat GPT. That is your new dummy series.
There's your new dummy series. Exactly. I mean, I am.
There is no excuse to not know how to do anything.
I'm taking some courses right now, just basic courses. I'll give the company a plug because I like them. It's Cursive AI. And for $20 for the first month, they take you through the basics of like Chat GPT. They give you like little basic courses. And then you'd spend, if you went through all of them, if you went through a whole Chat GPT course, I'd say maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, an hour tops. And it goes through the main AI stuff out there, because they say a lot of people over the age of 40 are using Chat GPT like it's Google. Right. And they aren't really understanding the power of what AI can do when you go in. And I mean, I just had to go, I went and did I can pull it up right now. I had to do a full SEO report for one of my websites for SEO management. It's all the stuff that I know what to do, but just taking the prompts that I got from Cursive AI and putting those prompts over into Chat GPT and saying, do this for my website, do this for my competitors, give me a strategy plan, and it bounced out the whole damn thing for me. Yeah. And it's just check by check playlist. Here you go. It will even create the content for you. And there's that whole debate right now of, is using AI for content creation ethical? And it really comes down to, is the information that you're using from AI the truth? If I said, write me an article and make it look like I'm doing $10 million a year in business, and give me these financial projections and falsify records and all that, and have it do that, it's going to do that for me, but it isn't real.
Right.
But I had ChatGPT help me out with my silent disco website. And said, create me a page, and everything I put in there was factual about silent disco headsets. I'm like, use it. They're talking about, though, Google, it's been mentioned about it scanning for AI and de-ranking sites that are using AI to build content. But then there's also the other side of the camp that says they won't do that because Google's also pushing its own AI stuff.
Exactly.
So, it's if it's factual information, then yay. If it's
You still
not,
got to
then
deliver the content though, and that's the thing. Whether AI write it or not, you still got to be able to deliver it. I mean, it's just like there's 1,000 podcasts out there, and a lot of them are talking about the same things, but some are just better than others.
Right.
That's one suggestion I give to a lot of podcast people too, is what are you doing that's unique, that is different than the other people out there? If you say, I want to do a podcast about cars, okay, great. That's a pretty big topic.
Yeah.
But do you want to do domestic cars, old cars, classic cars, new cars, Fred Flintstone cars? I don't know, whatever you want to call it, conceptual cars, whatever they are. You break it down to your category, and then you can kind of research that and get into that. But a lot of people get this general topic, and then they're all over the place, and there's no consistency. And that's the other thing, is making sure that you're consistent with what you do. If you're going to be consistent, if a show comes out on Thursday, it comes out every Thursday. You got to be consistent, and content is king, and you got to make sure you're dedicated to this. A lot of people, I say, not to, like, I don't want to sound conceited or nothing, but it's like, you want to do a podcast, great. Come to me when you got 100 episodes under your belt. Yeah. If you do one episode a week, that means you're keeping it up for 2 years. I mean, that's when you really can say, okay, man. But if you got 5 episodes and you haven't done anything for 6 months, do you really have a podcast?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't realize podcasting is not
you're releasing like, if you want to get the, I mean, and some people are doing it just to talk. Is it are you doing an online diary, or are you trying to get viewership? And my take in entertainment is, you are trying to put content out that's going to engage with an audience, and that audience is going to want to then share that information they learned with other people that are in that community, or share it with people that aren't in the community to get them interested in that community. And if you're not creating or researching, doing your due diligence, you're going to not have a podcast that's going to be very successful.
Yeah.
And some simple backdrops. Get a ring light for $15 from Ross. Get a microphone for $35. Don't buy your stuff off Temu necessarily. No offense, Temu. I love y'all. But get an okay mic. You really don't have to spend more than $100 to get a decent studio up and running for podcasting. But anyways, enough on that. How long y'all been doing After 5 for?
Well, over 3 years. Darren, we go way back. I mean, if they go through, I don't know if it's on our website, but they go through our YouTube. You were one of our guests in the infancy days. I want to say back in 2002. You were actually kind of like the father of one of the forefathers of After 5. That's why this is kind of a special moment, because you not only you came on, you did the podcast, but you shared the restream and in the back. You shared a lot with us as far as podcasting go. And I don't even know if we even had 20 episodes when we interviewed you.
Yeah.
But
I reach out. I'm not conceited about this stuff. My mission with all this has always been to help out other podcasters. I used to have the 98% rule. I give about 98% of the information I will away for free. Once the pandy hit and everyone was asking me for questions on how to do this, I kind of took it back to 97%. I think I might have mentioned that to y'all. It's like, come on, there's research, there's online out there. You're not paying me as a consultant, but no, I mean, I try to help out podcasters where I can, because I started out the same way. I started out in public access, or started out making movies at home, public access, broadcast television, podcasting, live streaming. Now I'm in virtual reality with nightclubs and stuff, and just going and, just pushing it and trying to help you out. So congratulations on sticking through with it, keeping it going. Glad to hear about the evolution of things that are happening there. We didn't get a chance. Mershad, I want to talk with you just quickly. Tell us about Soul Addict. What is that all about?
Soul Addict is my brand. It started out as a store, and it's funny, if you look at the logo, the name was supposed to be Soul Addict, like a drug addict, So if you look at the logo, you're like you cracked out on something. So that goes for my shoe addiction. I have an addiction of shoes. It's good for the name Soul Addict. So, but I couldn't spell it the way I wanted to, so I had to change the addict to make it sound the same. But Soul Addict is my baby, man. It started as a consignment store. It turned into a whole full-fledged brand, bro. Now, I now design for other
Yeah.
people.
Nice. Congratulations on that. Always awesome. Another thing that I also do like having conversations with people about is not only just podcasting and video production and distribution, is entrepreneurship. I'm huge on small business and innovating
Yes,
small
sir.
business. You know, my original series started out with featuring small businesses. You know, we had ITV was putting small businesses on broadcast television. You know, and I really always had a heart for that. My advertising company, I Alternative Media, the I stands for independent. So we work with small
Nice.
businesses to get them a big bang
Yeah.
in advertising where they normally, only Fortune 500 companies really spend money on what we do for our advertising medium, but we try to cater it to we get small businesses on and get
Oh,
them
damn.
out there and stuff. More on that later. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but yeah, I always am a huge fan of
Oh, damn.
people going into business for yourself. We're one of the few countries in the world where you can really do that in, well, sort of a free market, kind of a market,
Right.
where you can get a license and start something up
Yeah.
and go for it. So that's pretty awesome. As far as switching over from the lifestyle after five and your the future or the futurism of after five, what was the decision to just go in that direction?
Well, did you want to take it, Lord Shu? You want me to take it, or we tag
Nah, you
team?
got it, bro. I'll
Well,
follow up behind you.
as you can see, we kind of started off in the early days when you back there in back in 2022. We want, because we always wanted to bring value, because that's what lifestyle after five is about. Typically you spend your 9 to 5 working, whatever you do, doing your drilling, going to school, but it's what you do after five that dictate. And that's why, as Lord Shu alluded in his introduction, we were like a virtual happy hour where I always tell people the bar is different at Rude Chris than Applebee's. You get in on those conversations, and who you spending your time with dictates your future. And it can change your future just being in the right conversation with the right person. We So as time went on,
Yeah.
and we used to have get guests in there. We decided that it was just better, and we start carrying our show on our own. You know how it is when you start trying to bring a different guest. It was too much controversy, and one of the growing pains that we had to learn as a podcast, the only people that's going to be consistent, show up and be there is us. So we've got to carry our own content, our own podcast, and so we want to always educate you, but bring a little bit of our authentic self. And we're techies, we're future people. And with this move in AI, this is a big opportunity that is coming. And I compare it to the 1990s when the internet first took off and first came on scene, and there was a lot of fear, but there was also a lot of opportunity there. So we want to educate people. Hey, this is what's coming in the future. Some of it is so unbelievable. I've had people call me up after they hear one of our shows and be like, "Is this real, or did you?" No, this is actually real stuff we're talking about. That's in the works. This is really happening. This is
Yeah.
what you got to look for, and it's not about fear based necessarily. It's
Yeah.
what's coming, so you can prepare for it, or you can get in and be a part on it.
Yep.
We were talking about Coinbase and Bitcoin back in 2017, and I did get into it, but I wish I had got even more
And now,
heavier into it. And you look
Right.
at Bitcoin was what, maybe $5,000 a coin. Now it's $105,000 a coin or so. So stuff like that where you can prepare. Two, being of color, a lot of times we don't even think about the future, and a lot of future things doesn't have us in mind. It's like, where we will be in the future, but we don't plan, and we're not taking into
yeah.
consideration into the future. So education, and it just became a passion of ours.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
love the future.
To piggyback off of
You
that
know, you
too. I just wanted to
you know,
say,
you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
well, I just wanted to piggyback off of what he was saying. Just the fact that a lot of what we're doing, like he said, is based in our passion, but more or less, like, people need information all the time. I mean, that's pretty much why we're all here podcasting. So I think giving people like an opportunity to be aware of stuff really kind of came from I think personally just from our travels doing interviews with people at cigar lounges. I mean, these people are like super wealthy, successful people, and it just like I don't know if that like maybe to me it was like kind of the catalyst for real of like triggering us to become futurists in a way, because we started seeing like, oh, these people they're doing these types of things, but really they're just like kind of normal. They seen the future and they took advantage. So we kind of want to give people
Mhm.
that chance through our shows.
Yeah, that's something I see. Looking back, and you were going back to 2017, and I'll take it back. People thought I've always kind of been a little bit ahead on things when it comes to technology, or been a forefront. And I remember, I'll give you a little story here. When I got into QR codes, now everyone knows what a QR code is, right?
Right.
I was at 2010, and I was telling people about QR codes and how they're going to change the future. And people thought I was crazy. They're like, "What are you talking about? You can't. I'll just type in the website. I don't want to take my." You had to download a QR code reader as an app to your phone. It wasn't built in.
Yeah.
Once
I remember
Apple,
that, yeah.
and I don't know if Android was an early adapter or they did it after Apple did this. Once Apple built it into their camera app,
It was
I knew. I
over.
was like, "Yep, it's gonna come." And then it took Pandy for everyone to realize these things are powerful. And most people use them to send to like a web link. There's so much more you can do with a QR code. I can have it pop up with a special commercial message and a website link or telephone number as well.
Right.
And the people go, "Hey, thank you very much for downloading my QR code. You've been the 50th. You're entered into this awesome contest. Click here or call this phone number today to get your." And people don't know you can do that with a QR code. They think it's send them to a website. It's like, nah, you can do a lot more.
Way deeper than
people
that.
don't know that QR codes were developed by Toyota, and it stands for quality recognition code, so they could track the packages of where things were coming from, what factories, and know exactly where it came from, what date, what times, all that. It wasn't just a regular barcode. It contained all this information inside of it. There were a few other brands, there were a few other companies that were out there trying to get their own version of QR codes going, but the generic QR code was what finally got mainstream, which was awesome. So, always being ahead of the curve, ahead of the game there. If there was one piece of advice that you three could give, you all maybe sit back and talk in the studio. I don't know who would be the voice to culminate this. Let's go with Lord Shu. Let's try this out. What would be the one piece of advice you could give to an inspiring, to look forward to the future of things, to an inspiring podcaster entrepreneur?
Go with the flow. I mean, that's probably my mantra for life is go with the flow. When you out of flow, everything goes wrong.
Yeah. Holly, what about you? What piece of advice would you give to new podcasters and people looking towards the future of things?
Partnership. You can't do everything alone. Podcasting, although it seems fun, and because they see you on YouTube and they see you on the show, this is not fun. Sometimes there are long nights. You editing, you're trying to get content. You don't,
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I got the party going on right next door. It's always it's
We about to
fun
crash
time. I got to
out.
keep the door closed because I can't let you know what's going on over here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always feel like doing this, but you got to make content. It's not about what you feel. This is not about you. It's about your audience, and you got to keep pumping the content out. 2, you're in luck, because with Futurism, there's a lot of technology that exists that can help you out with a lot of this. So this is why I think we brought Lord Shu came and joined us. Same thing with y'all call him Mashaba, we call him MD Red on the podcast. They came and they've been great access. And like I said, Lord Shu is the brains of the operation. He's younger, so he's bringing new ideas and bringing stuff like Substack and everything, things that I wouldn't know to do. I'm getting an education from him, and he's helped launching us and pushing us forward. So get the experts that know. Don't try to be a jack of all trades, because you're not an expert and a master of everything. Get the people and let the experts be experts. And it may cost you, but the quality and the return is well worth it.
Awesome. And Mershad, what piece of advice would you give for people looking out for the future of in the industry and business and entrepreneurship?
I would say trust the process. Believe in you. Your journey is not going to be like somebody else. So don't listen to what nobody else say how they did it. I mean, take the advice, but
Yeah.
apply it to your situation. And just keep rolling, bro.
Awesome.
Don't take no
All
for
right,
an answer.
guys. Well, thank you very much for coming on the DJ sessions today. Always a pleasure talking with you. We'll catch up with you here in the future. Looking forward to getting on your show too, where you can pick my brain and
Facts.
find out what I've been up to. Where's the best place people can go to find out more information about
Most
y'all?
www.aliafter5.com.
Right there, lower left-hand corner. Boom. All right, aliafter5.com. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much for coming on the show today. Got a jam, got other appointments, got other stuff to do because I got to control my future. and
I gotta
gotta
go
get stuff done before 5, not after 5.
after
Because
5.
after 5 is where you're gonna find out all the information. All right, thank you, Lord Shu, Ali, and MRedmon for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure having you.
Likewise, man.
All right,
You're
man.
welcome.
Pleasure being here,
On
bro.
that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on all the socials there. Check out our website. We got over 700 news stories a month, 2,600 past episodes, new episodes in the pipeline, exclusive mixes, and more. Follow us on the socials. Check out our events. You can win contests, meet and greets, become a member, sign up to a newsletter, all that and more. Oh, and our merch is there too for donations. We get some really cool merch at thedjsessions.com. I'm your host, Darren. For the DJ sessions, that's Lord Shu, Ali, and MRedmon for Lifestyle After 5 on the DJ sessions. And remember, on the DJ sessions, the music never stops.